What's up, everybody? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays for this Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. I am your host, Russ Williams. I'm so glad you could be here today, Transition Army. I know you could have been anywhere in this world. I know you could have been anywhere in this world today, but you decided to be here with me, and I appreciate that. And more importantly, I appreciate you. So, welcome to Transition Tuesdays, my friends, on this first day of November 2022. Man, we have an action packed show for you once again, my friends. But before I start the show, I always love to state my intentions. And my intention is to give you the opportunity to laugh, smile, think, and engage in honest conversations about your life's transitions. So, this is what we talk about. We talk about that early and often here on Transition Tuesdays. First off, I would be remiss if I didn't say, we didn't have the show last week, and I apologize. I was a little under the weather. Had like a little stomach virus that took place the day of, just before I was about to go on live. Something I ate didn't agree with my stomach too much, and it hampered me enough to not do the show. And again, this was a show that I haven't, that I missed out on. Man, it's been like 5 years that I missed out on the show. So my apologies on that, but I'm feeling much better. Thank you guys for your well wishes for me to get back. I really appreciate that. And I felt it. My stomach felt it. And it alleviate the pain. So I thank you guys for your prayers and well wishes. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciated that. So, let's talk about it, guys. I posted, I texted about, trauma in the black community. That's what I want to talk about. It's a tough discussion, but it's a discussion that we have to have, based on, what came down today on this Transition Tuesday early this morning. I want to read an article that took place. You had the death of Takeoff, who is 1/3 of the Amigos. So Takeoff was 1/3 of the platinum selling group Migos, was shot and killed early this morning in Houston, Texas. This kid was only 28 years old. 28 years old. Houston police say they responded to the scene of a shooting in downtown Houston at a bowling alley and pool hall around 2:30 a.m. this morning. One person was found dead, which was Takeoff, the rapper Takeoff. Two other victims were taken in private vehicles to hospitals, police said. According to authorities, police were informed that a private party had been held in the venue prior to the shooting. An ongoing investigation is taking place right now. Takeoff began performing with his uncle and fellow rapper Quavo, and we talk about Trama. Quavo was there the time of the shooting. So let's talk about his trauma. That's going to have to be, he's going to have to take a look at that. His own nephew. These guys were related, right? So Takeoff began performing with his uncle and fellow rapper Quavo, along with Offset, who is married to Cardi B, okay, as Migos in 2008, okay? They just recently had a breakup, which they were going to do the kind of separate things. I think Takeoff and Quavo, they were going to do their own thing. They were coming out with an album in which they just recently released their debut album. Okay, Unc and Pew. Okay, so they just recently did this, and so they were doing their thing. So this is tragic. This is really tragic. And really chilling, what I'm about to read is, hold on, let's make sure everybody's joining us on that chat, okay? So what's really chilling is this. During a recent conversation on the podcast Drink Champs, just days before his death, Takeoff accepted accolades for his stellar performance on his new project, Uncompute. He's quoted as saying, "I'm chill, I'm laid back, but it's time to pop it," meaning it's time to, release the album. Takeoff said that he's quoted as saying this, and this is really chilling and haunting. Time to give me my flowers. I don't want them later. or when I'm not here. Oh man, very chilling, very prophetic. Um, oh man, I tell you, it's we talk about trauma. You know, this is going on a regular basis. We can't even chalk this up to hip hop. People might think they might chalk this up to the music and the culture, what's going on. No, I think it's deeper than hip hop. It's deeper. These traumatic experiences are taking off in the black and brown communities. Excuse me. There's trauma taking over. PTSD. This is prevalent in our communities here. Prevalent. Man, and we can't escape it. Tell you. I'm going to play for you now the video by Coach Prime, who's the head coach at Jackson State, the football team. Deion Sanders, as he goes by Coach Prime nowadays. Coach Prime. And I want to play this because this is important. I want to have some discussion on it as well. So Deion is addressing his team after finding out Takeoff has just been murdered. And again, it was murdered. Okay? Murdered at a dice game. Keep this in mind, guys. A dice game. A dice game. People being shot. Something for senseless for a person, any person, to lose their life over this. Okay, so let me just play this by Coach Prime.
The consistency of people that are influential to you are leaving us consistently. That's our rappers. Takeoff was murdered in a dice game in Houston, where we're going. So that eliminates all y'all leaving that hotel, because it ain't happening until I give you further notice. So whatever her name is, whoever she is, parents, everybody, they're going to come to the hotels to visit you because y'all ain't leaving. Sooner or later, we got to start changing our addresses, guys. That's an analogy to saying, I know we this, but we ain't that. We got to leave that behind that we once did. And that's what you guys are. Now you guys are Jackson State royalty. You ain't know, man. You're not whoever you were a year ago. You're not even who you're going to be a year from now, which is a blessing. But you can't continuously do the things you've always done and expect to get the results. There's going to have to be a change. All of us have gone through drastic changes. Have we, coaches? Have we, coaches? All of us still evolving into what God has called us to be, and that's change. You cannot kick it with the same dudes you kicked it with. You cannot kick it with the multitude of women that you kick it with. You cannot associate in the same realms that you associate with. You're going to have to change if you expect change. You can't do it. It's going to come to a time, they can talk about you, they can mock you, they can ridicule you, they can cuss you out, they can clown you, whatever they want. But you're going to have to separate sooner or later. You're going to have to disconnect. Sooner or later, you're going to have to. So get that in your spirit. I'm sad because it just seems like it's always us. But we want to say we matter. We want to say we keep it in 100, but it's always us. Now we lose another soldier to some bull junk that when we look back at it, the gentleman going to say, dang, now his whole life changes. Because now he's incarcerated or murdered in a consequence of what transpired. Because you know how the game is played. And I don't want y'all playing that foolish game. Because y'all are valuable to your families, friends, loved ones, and you're valuable to us. Alright? Let's think about that. Let's pray for the families. I ain't got no time. Ain't got no time to take foolishness. Let's go get it.
What source is actually the pact?
Tell you. Wow. Powerful. Here's a coach. That's leadership. Here's a coach. Coach Prime. His team is undefeated. Addressing this issue right away. And I wrote down some notes about his visit or his meeting with his team, Jackson State. Coach Prime. So Coach Prime really summed it up by saying that these, we are your royalty. You're different. You're different. You have to change. You have to change. You can't go and kick it with the same people you kicked it with, that you used to. Can't do it. You can't do it. You're considered royalty in the communities. You're a different person. So when you go back to these communities, You're different. You can't kick it with the same people. You have to disconnect sooner or later. I think that's a great point by Coach Prime. You have to disconnect yourself sooner or later. Not to knock, what happened with Takeoff and Quavo and all those guys, but they were shooting dice in a bowling alley. You can't go back and kick it with the same people. Can't do that. I know plenty of athletes who have dice games in the comfort of their own homes. They bring people in. They bring the people who they can trust, the people that's not going to be shooting you or what have you, in a controlled environment that they control. And that happens all the time with athletes. Happens all the time. Playing, PlayStation, games and, playing for money, big stakes, gambling, spades, whatever, spades, poker, all this stuff, dice, shooting dice, craps, CeeLo. But they do it in a controlled area, which is their own homes. They don't have to, quote unquote, think I'm keeping it real. I can go back to my hood with no security, what have you. Can't do it. You're considered royalty. Just like Coach Prime said, you're considered royalty. And then he mentioned you have to disconnect sooner or later. And he makes the great point here, which I wrote this down, which is so important. It seems like it's always us black and brown people, okay? It seems like it's always us. Newsflash, we are killing ourselves. We have no one to blame here. We are killing ourselves. And Coach Prime went on to say, and I wrote this down, you are valuable to us. Young people, you are valuable to us. You are valued in the eyes of your family, friends, loved ones, and everything. You're valued. You're a valued commodity. We need to start acting like that. A valued commodity. And this changes the lives of many people. Not only Takeoff who was killed, think about the lives, his family, friends, relatives. His life has changed. The shooter, his life has changed. His family's changed. His family's life will be changed because of this. Who's to say, people are going to get back at this guy, what have you. His life's going to change regardless. Either if he's caught and then in a jail cell, his life changes. Everybody's affected by this. No one is exempt. We got Felicia checking in from The Rock. What's going on, Felicia? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome everybody who is joining us here today. So yeah, it's it's a sad state of affairs, but PTSD is real. PTSD is real. Post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder, pardon me. It is real. It is real in the black community. And I'll tell you this, guys, I had a great conversation this morning. Great conversation with a group of young adults. And we were talking about this matter. And we were talking about how it's trauma in the black community, especially dealing with our youth. And we had great conversation about what's going on. And I wrote down some of the snippets that we talked about. And this group that I was talking to, this great group, they kept it real with me. And they just said, today, it seemed like today's youth, and they include themselves, a lot of them did, or a lot of people they know who are young, they shared with me was like, young people have a tough time. They have a tough time valuing human life. They don't value the lives of others. They may value their lives, but they don't value the lives of others. Think about that. And that's real. They don't value the lives of others. Sure, they value their lives. They value their lives, but value the lives of others. They don't, they don't agree. That's what they were saying. They know plenty of people. They say they know plenty of people plenty of young people who don't value the lives of others. Also, another thing they were talking about that I kind of brought up was I think a lot of time, especially in these instances, especially in our communities, especially that gives us the trauma that we have. I think when things like this happen, we don't take the time to think. What we do is we react. Then we think about the consequences later. That was shared with me as well. Got that, that we need to switch that around. Need to take it a beat or two. Think about it. Think about it. The person who pulled the trigger on this rapper Takeoff, he didn't give it one thought about the consequences if he pulls this trigger on this guy. What would happen? Nope. It was we do first and we think about the consequences later. That was the main consensus that the younger people were sharing with me today. So I would just say, in any circumstance just like this, think first before you react. Give it a couple of beats. Just give it, play the scenarios in your head. If I do this, that's something that's going to be harmful to myself or others, what is going to be the consequences? You got to think about the consequences of your actions before you do it. Give yourself a beat, a second or two to think. Okay? They shared that with me, and I shared something with them, and I was really candid with the young adults of today. And when we talked today, I was very candid. I basically apologized to that group because myself as an elder and my generation, we're not giving these young people the tools of dealing with things. And one person brought it up, and it was a great point. She mentioned in your era, especially black men, okay, and dealing with trauma is like mental illness. My generation was like, hey, look, if people think you're crazy if you have something going on, mentally, and we just buy into that stereotype that mental illness is crazy or traumatic. Oh, suck it up. Oh, you just got to be tough. You talk about mental illness. No. And because of our beliefs and the way we were in raising kids, that's the result that you're seeing. We didn't equip these kids for these trauma experiences. And also, I'll go further. We've dealt with trauma, and I can only speak for myself as a black male, okay? Sometimes we are traumatized, keep that in. It can be from, inappropriate touching to abuse or what have you, but we in turn keep that in, don't say anything, and then when the next generation comes about, in which we are equipped to possibly shed some light on it, we do not do it. And then you see the results that we're getting. So that trauma in your communities is just a vicious cycle that goes over and over because it's not addressed. No one has addressed anything on it. We got my guy Smooth, the voice of the Jaspers, men's and women, joining us on the check-in. What's going on, Smooth? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays, my friend. Welcome. And Smooth, man, and everybody out there, I'll be remiss, Chris's wife, Leah, her mom passed away. My condolences here, guys. My sincere condolences. If you guys need anything, I'm here for you guys. Okay? So my condolences for you, Leah, if you're out there watching. So Chris goes on to say, in most cases, we are not in touch with all of our emotions. Absolutely. No doubt about that, Smooth. Yes. And blessing in the black and brown community. Especially males. We're not in tune with our emotions. We don't communicate that. We don't talk about it. We just harbor all of that. We harbor all that trauma. We harbor. And what's the old adage? And the old adage I share with the group is hurt people hurt people. Hurt people. And I could imagine in this case with Takeoff, I could imagine the trauma that young man had pulling the trigger. This wasn't about a dice game. for him to shoot somebody. It had to be something traumatically involved in his life for him to squeeze the trigger on this at a dice game. So it wasn't about the dice game. And again, just harboring those feelings, harboring those emotions that Smooth talked about. It's the vicious cycle. So I apologize for that, for leaving this generation astray, and failing the youth because of that. Because you're not addressing your traumas. You got to take care of you before you can take care of others. We discussed that as well in terms of trauma in the black communities. Okay? We got to take the initiative to get help, get help for mental health. Get that help. But take care of yourself first before you can take care of others. You know the old adage, when you get on a plane, and it's on every plane, they make this announcement on every plane. In the event of emergency, the oxygen mask will come down. What do you do first? Put the mask on you first, and then give it to the person next to you. Okay? Same thing should apply here. You must take care of yourself. Any issues, traumatic things that you're going through, talking to the young people today, and that's why I had a great opportunity to talk to them, and I really want to talk to them today because things like this can trigger, a traumatic effect in their life. So they might be going through the same things, and they share that. It's tough. It's tough, being a black and brown person here in the country. It's tough because of the trauma that we go through as young people. It's tough. But they're getting the help. They're reaching out and they're getting the help because they're taking care of themselves first. Right? We're doing away with that stigma. We're doing away with the stigma. The stigma 20 years ago in which, you're viewed upon as, man, soft. Yeah, I don't need no help. I'm soft. I don't need no mental. I'm soft. We live in a great time now. People are reaching out. They're talking to psychiatrists, different things, when I was going through my divorce situation, I reached out to Talkspace. I had to talk to somebody. You're not a soft cat. You don't lose no street cred if you go and get help for mental issues. That's not a problem. That's a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness like it once was. Okay? The stigma's being pulled off. That Band-Aid's being pulled off. Definitely doing that. It's definitely happening. So Chris says, I appreciate that, Smooth. Smooth says, usually as men, our default emotion is anger. Right. Absolutely, Smooth. Yep. Yeah. And again, we usually as men of a certain age, because times are changing, but men at a certain age, what do? When our emotion of anger, what do? We harbor that. We keep it inside. We don't share that with anybody. We just keep that inside. New time, new day. We got to change it. We got to make changes in that. We got to do it. We got to do it for us. We got to do it for our communities. Because like Dion said, hey, it's just us. We're killing us. We are killing us. It ain't saying, the white man's doing this and that. No, we are doing that. We're taking their job to do that. That's what we're doing. Has to stop. I heard a great quote, and I want to, leave us on this before we head on out. But this was a great quote by Sway Calloway. Great quote what he said today. He says, we have to do better as a people, and you, meaning me and you, have to do better as a person. You have to look within yourself as a person. Okay? I'll repeat that. We have to do better as a people, and you, me and you, have to do better as a person within ourselves. We got to do better. And talking to the younger people as well, they mentioned something really important. They mentioned how, let me see this before I make that point. Chris says, that street cred will get you killed. Absolutely. Street cred will get you killed, Smooth. You're right, man. Street cred ain't nothing. That street cred ain't nothing. It will get you killed. the street cred is played out too. Really played out. Yep. What is about street cred? I see a person who's of strength. If you know that you need help, you know what I mean? You know that you're struggling through something, you're struggling through trauma, PTSD all day. I like the street cred that's involved with that by you getting help. That shows you that strong street cred. They're just acting upon stuff because you're hurt. Because hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. So with the young group I was talking to today, we talked about, and this is important too, we talked about messaging. People having their message, I'm this and that, I'm so and stuff, I'm a tough person, this and that, and that, on the social media, the toughness of that. It's all about sometimes changing the messaging too, especially in this social media. I talked to the young people and I was saying to them, like, they coming up in an age and being raised in an age in social media that's changing the game. Change the imagery of what you're displaying out there. It's all about the laws of the universe. What you putting out there will come back to you. So you see the pictures, and you and I see the pictures all the time. People posing with guns and stuff like this, and ear money, with the money phones and everything like that, attracting all this stuff like that, all that negative energy, it's the laws of the universe. What you throw out, you will get back. So it's all about changing the imagery as well. So it's great having that conversation with the young people today. And the thing that I really took from that going forward, which they mentioned to me, is having open, honest conversation, having communication, communicating your thoughts. If you need help, say you need help, get the help. There's plenty of help for people. My program that I belong with, we're here to help the people. But again, if you're not in the program, there's other places you can talk to people to get help, communicate, and get help for your trauma. If you got to talk to somebody or, get a diagnosis, what have you, get the help that you need. It is a sign of great strength. It's not a sign of weakness. So we can do this. We can do this, okay? Because we don't want to wait to the next, tragedy that will come about because of the trauma that we have in our community. The trauma, us killing us, the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, that is real and is prevalent. So we got to get help, and we got to continue to have the dialogue, have the open dialogue. We got to do it. We got to do it for ourselves. We got to do it for ourselves first before we can do it and help others and get the viewpoints of how people think we are. Okay? Because right now we look crazy out there because we are not trying to fix this issue. It can be fixed, but it starts with me and you. It starts with you first, starts with me first. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, man, if we were able to make you laugh, smile, and think, more importantly today, think during this broadcast, my good friends, you have accomplished something major today. So celebrate your victory. Celebrate your victory. Yes. Transition Army. I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for you watching Transition Tuesdays each and every Tuesday here on Transition Tuesdays. And you can watch my show on our YouTube channel, Transition Tuesdays. Check that out, okay? And make sure when you go on our channel, YouTube channel, make sure you like and subscribe before you leave. I'll greatly appreciate it, okay? If you haven't been following me, you can follow me on Instagram at Russ Will Transitions. That's Russ Will Transitions with an S, okay? Follow me and I'll follow you back. You got my word on that. I'll definitely do that, okay? Please do. Make sure you do. Want to shout out our sponsor, Sweet Candy Cafe, located in downtown Lumberton, North Carolina. This particular company, Sweet Candy Cafe, is celebrating 10 years of excellence. a decade of excellence. Man. So on November 26th, today's the 21st. So November 26th, it's going to be a celebration like no other. Okay? Make sure, if you can't make it down in Lumberton, North Carolina, you can always go to sweetcandycafe.com and order your confectionery goodies. We got to support small businesses. Okay? You got to do it. We got to do it. You owe it to yourself, and your taste buds will thank you later on as well. So make sure you go to sweetcandycafe.com to order today. All right? So Transition Army, as we say in parting, happy transitioning, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care, everybody. God bless.